Okay, so let's talk about configuring a DHCP server. So we just installed the isc-dhcp server, and we can check the status of it. Systemctl status isc-dhcp, I cannot type today, dash server. All right, and things have failed. Now that's not surprising because we just installed it. We actually haven't configured it yet, so it failing is no big deal. So, the big point there is to make sure that yes, we actually do have it and life is good there. So, we have a sample configuration file that we can look at, and that is at /etc/dhcp/dhcpd. Remember, D stands for daemon, it indicates a server or a service.conf. And here is our sample DHCP. And you can see some options for domain name servers and domain name and default lease time and max lease time and updates. And then it'll give you a handful of information down here that can actually be kind of useful in helping you understand how to configure DHCP. So that's actually kind of useful. So we don't want to get rid of this file, but we don't want to go through, or we don't want to go through and heavily modify it either. So here's what I want to do. I want to exit this, and then I'm going to create I'm going to back up the file. Let me get this the right way. I don't want to necessarily copy it. I'm going to rename the file, so it's going to be mv, which is short for move, /etc/dhcp dhcp.conf, and I'm going to copy it or rename it to etc dhcp dhcp.ori dhcpd. And I hope if I would sudo that. Me up arrow and sudo. Okay, so that moves that off. So now I can use that too, and I wanted to do that as .ori, not .org. So let me fix that real quick because that's going to annoy me if I don't fix it. Force of habit. .org to .ori. There we go. Okay, now we've got the backup copy, so we can reference back to that whenever we want, and that's kind of useful. So I'm going to recreate a new file, etc dhcp dhcpd.conf. All right, and now I've got a brand new, and I forgot to sudo it again. And now I've got a brand new, there we go, file to work with. So here's some settings that I'm going to do. Let's start with a default lease time. Now this is going to be in seconds. So you got to figure out what you want for lease time, and we're going to set this to 86,400, which if you multiply that out should be about 1 day. You can also set a max lease time. So the default lease time is what everyone will get, how long the lease will be if they don't request something bigger. If the max lease time would be, this is the maximum amount that we will do. And I actually want to set that the same way. And you'll notice I'm ending off each line here with a semicolon. So I'm going to set the first option of subnet mask. And it's going to be 255, and this is going to match your network. So you're going to put in the subnet mask for your network. Same thing with this next one, option broadcast address. And I'm in the 192.168.1 network, so it'll be 192.168.1.255, which is the last address available in the network. And make sure that matches your network. So let's set one more option here, option domain name. And I'm going to use my Dalton.local, which is actually not a domain. I'm just making one up so that I have something here to work with. So that sets all of our main options. Now the next line, this one's kind of key, it's authoritative. And that means that this server is authoritative to serve addresses in this network. And then we're going to set our subnet information. Subnet is going to be 192.168.1. Now this is your network ID. This is not the range of addresses. This is the network ID that we're using and the net mask that's associated with that. And then open curly brackets, and this right here is where we're going to set our range information. So the first one's going to be the first address, 1.100 through, let's do 1.240. And then for this, we're going to include an option routers, and we're only going to give it one. And we'll make it 254. I'm going to say that's going to be our router. And then we're going to set domain name servers. And this is going to be our DNS server, which we're actually going to configure here in a little bit. And we'll make that ourselves. And then I forgot to close that with a semicolon. And then we're going to close this up. All right, now that should be our base configuration. So default lease time, max lease time. We're going to set the subnet mask, the broadcast address, the domain name. We're going to be authoritative for the subnet of 192.168.1.0 with the /24 subnet mask. We're going to have addresses from range from 1 through 240. We're going to set a router and a domain name server. So I'm going to save this information. So I'm going to Control O to write this out, Control X to exit. All right, now if this is right, I should be able to restart start the isc-dhcp server. So it's systemctl start isc-dhcp server. And yes, I'm going to authenticate that. All right, and then we'll see if it worked. Systemctl status isc-dhcp server. And it says it looks like we have a problem. So it failed, and it looks like it has a problem with our configuration file. So let's see if we can figure out what that is real quick. I'm going to do sudo su real quick, and I'm just going to switch over to root and nano etc dhcp dhcpd.conf. And let's see what we can find here. We'll look at our configuration. Default lease time 86,400, semicolon at the end of it. Max lease time 86,400, semicolon at the end of it. Option subnet mask 255.255.255.0. All right, I'm going to take a minute, and I am going to skim over this and see if I can find a problem. And rather than having you hold out here while I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and pause this. I'm going to try to figure it out, and then I'm going to come back and after I get it fixed and show you what I believe the issue is. Okay, I think I found what the problem might be. Let's see if I am right here. And that is I did option domain name server instead of option domain name servers. Typos happen real easy. Let's save it, Control X, and then let's, lots of other commands here. Systemctl start isc-dhcp server. And then let's do a status and see, hey, there you go. That was it. All right, so we are up and running. Now, couple of things to be aware of. So the bottom part here is going to show us our log. We can also look at the log using the tail command. And we would look at the syslog. We would use the -f option if we wanted that to automatically update for us. So the way that would work is we would issue this command. it would be tail -f, and then we're going to set the location of the syslog file. And that syslog file is going to be at /var/log/syslog. Now, the reason that we want, ignore all those errors, is because I have this thing isolated and so it can't get out to the NTP server. The tail is going to show the last part of that log, and that -f is automatically going to update for us. And so that's going to be really, really useful. Now, if we are looking for leases, oh, by the way, back to this log here for a minute before we start looking at leases. And that is, when you're looking at this, you should see DHCP options starting to come in. And so that's going to show you DHCP discover messages, DHCP offer messages, and it'll basically just track everything that happens. And by doing that, you can see if you are getting DHCP discover requests, if you're responding with DHCP offers. So that's a way for you to look at it. Now, leases are going to be stored in the, and I'll go ahead and type this out. We won't actually be able to see anything, but it would be in the var/lib/DHCP/DHCPD.leases file. And that should show you, and we shouldn't see anything there, but this would show you where all of your leases are. If I did see something in here, it would mean I was screwing up somebody else on my network. So that's pretty much all there is to that DHCP configuration. DHCP is set to automatically come up every time now. If you remember from the systemctl status isc DHCP server output, it's this line right, not loaded. It actually is this line loaded. Get all the way across there. isc-dhcp-server.service is enabled, which means that this is going to come up now every single time that the system reboots. So at this point, our DHCP server is configured and operational.